I am.
You going to bring it today?
I thought it was already bringing it. How much bring do you want?
How much? I want all to bring. I want all of the bring. What? We're talking about Hugh today on the show?
What are we talking about today? D?
Company culture. We're talking about company culture. Who at your company is responsible for your company's culture? Well, you are.
Now is author Daren Martin.
Culture is the game. If you don't change the culture, you don't change the company.
Great cultures over the course of 10 years will yield a 746% increase in your net profit.
Holy moly!
1% in the top 1% is worth 12 in the bottom 1%. Called the culture architect for a reason.
We need to get into it.
Okay. All right. Happy
Holy
Friday!
Moly!
Oh, geez. Okay, we already had somebody post on social media that they can't get that word out of their mind now that you said holy moly.
Holy moly!
Which raises the question, because I'm not sure if he spelled it right. How do you spell holy moly? Do you?
I thought it was just spelled like holy moly.
Yeah, okay, well, I think that's how Bruce Waller actually, how he actually spelled it. Author of Find Your Lane, by the way, fantastic book. So, okay, today we're going to be talking about something that's come up pretty recently because a lot of people out there feel like, hey, look, company culture, that's somebody else's job. It's not my job.
They don't feel like they're empowered.
Yeah, I'm not able to do this. And so that's what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to tell my world famous peanut butter and jelly story in just a second. The one like it that's your least favorite, but you actually special requested for this show. So
yes.
I'm just so excited.
Context.
So before we do that,
all stories are good in context.
In context, but before we do that, I got a bunch of stuff laid out here because we went to a conference yesterday, the Big D Annual Treasury and Financial Conference. It was off the chart.
It was ASAFP.
ASAFP. We had such a great time.
BC.
So I was the lunch keynote, and it was just a fantastic
phenomenal
time. Straight from the keynote
fantastic is
into
such
a workshop.
A bland word for what you did yesterday.
It was. We've got some great video.
What you did yesterday. I mean, come on.
Yes,
that place was eating at me. Those people were like, wow.
Yeah, it was just such a lively group. So that's exactly what it looked like. So it was actually a blend of people that are in treasury for some very large companies. I mean, AT&T, a bunch of oil and gas, all sorts of very large companies represented. And then every bank you can imagine was present as well, because the bankers obviously want to do business with the treasury people, because the treasury people, the larger the company, Holly Frontier, et cetera, that they're sitting on a lot of cash. They got to tuck it somewhere. So that's where
their pants?
That partnership comes with.
Software?
There's all sorts of options.
You said they had to tuck cash somewhere.
Yes.
Rainy day
they generally want to put it somewhere
jar.
where they can get some.
It's the pickle jar.
They want to put it somewhere where they can get some money off of it.
Cookie jar.
So at any rate, I've got a bunch of stuff sitting here in front of me.
I have to mention my favorite part about yesterday was, can we get more checkers to the front?
Yeah, that was pretty funny. So we've got all of these tchotchkes because I brought the goodie bag in so we could kind of, rifle through it. And it's typical stuff. I mean, great stuff. You got, golf tees. You got little squeezy things. You've got pins. We're not showing anything with the logo on it except for one. And that's because there was one company that stepped up and said, hey, we want to be the book sponsor. And it just reminded me again, and that was the great Citibank. So Citibank basically said, hey, look, we're going to be the book sponsor for this conference. And they bought copies of the book for every single attendee.
Yep.
And what happened was, at the end of my talk, people were motivated. We'd done the thing. And then so they had a bookmark that they had stuck in the books that was basically a Citi bookmark. So now people are going to read the book. They're going to come across that over and over again. And it just reminded me, we've had a couple of companies that have done that. how much that sponsorship and giving something of meaning versus a beer koozie, things like that, can end up costing you a fair amount of money depending on what you're giving away.
Do you
Some
know how
people
much
are giving
a beer
away,
koozie costs to make?
They're so expensive.
I don't think they actually are.
No, they really are. It depends on the number you order, right? I mean, look at our owner bracelets, right?
So yes, absolutely. Our owner bracelets.
If I only order 10, they're gonna cost me as much as printing a book.
But they're not ordering in those volumes. Anyway, the point is just think about what you attach your brand to and how you're using that.
Do not stamp your brand on a homeless person. It just would not go well.
Yes.
Attach your brand to things that people would actually use.
You are out of control.
Sorry.
Okay, so my peanut butter and jelly story.
All right.
So have you guys ever heard my peanut butter and jelly story? Okay.
Nope.
So it's a construction site. There's a bunch of people sitting around. It's new. They've never worked with each other before. And a guy sitting there reaches into his bag and pulls out a sandwich. And he's like, peanut butter and jelly. Oh, my goodness, peanut butter and jelly. So the next day they're sitting down and they're all, getting their lunches out. And he pulls out another sandwich. He's like, peanut butter and jelly again. I'm so frustrated. I can't stand this 2 days in a row.
Peanut butter and jelly.
Third day, he reaches in, pulls out a sandwich. Peanut butter and jelly 3 days in a row. And he's just about to lose it when the guy sitting next to him says, listen, dude, stop. I am so frustrated with you. Every day you come, you sit at the site, you reach your hand in your bag, you pull out a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and obviously you don't like peanut butter and jelly. Would you please tell whoever's making your lunch at home to make you something other than peanut butter and jelly so we don't have to hear about you gripe about it every day? And he looked at him and said, what are you talking about? I live by myself. I make my own lunch. Okay. Badoom chink. Okay, so I tell that story sometimes when I speak, but just because it's actually a little bit of a teaching tale, right? The culture that you create is the culture you live with, the culture you have.
It's what you get.
And a lot of people complain about their culture, but they're not willing to do something about it, or they don't feel like they're empowered to do something about it. You had a conversation with somebody recently about
yesterday.
this.
Yesterday. So there was a woman that came up to me and she says, excuse me. She says, my husband just got a promotion and I really want to get him like a gift, a book. Which book is the best? I gave her a Company of Owners and I told her that's the best book, And then she says, our company culture needs changing. We should change it. I wish, blah, blah. I'm like,
it's the big diamond among other little bit smaller, but still diamonds.
Of course.
Okay, sorry about that.
Of course. But it's always the one I suggest people read first.
But she's saying, hey, we need some culture change.
Culture change desperately. And I said, so change it. Or, bring Daren in or whatever the case. How can I help? But she said, I can't change. I can't do anything.
I don't have any authority.
I'm just too far down on the chain. So
I'm not in a position to be able to do that.
That's like gangrene attacking your foot and just be like, well, nothing I can do. I'm not doctor. I mean, I'm just going to leave it.
Okay, but that's the mentality, right? And people then fuss about the, people at the top. They're like, well, why are y'all not doing something? And the reality is anybody in any situation, family, company culture, whatever, has a certain amount of capacity, and it's generally a lot larger than you think it is. Yes, I'm talking to you.
Yes.
For change. And we've seen this happen. So I was at a company, large oil and gas company, multi-billion-dollar company. The probably, I don't even like talking about positions in terms of, what's the best and so hierarchy. I think that a lot of that language is just dead. But at any rate, this was a very intro kind of position. And basically what this person did was they carried the mail around to people. And then they were responsible for the break room. So, hopefully people clean up after themselves, zinc, leave it better than you found it. But a lot of people don't. And so they're stocking stuff and they're making sure the coffee's in the slots and all that stuff. And that was their job.
Right.
They decided this oil and gas company needed to go green because what they're witnessing every day is all these styrofoam cups.
Love it.
Coffee poured in, chunked, all these paper cups, all of that, right? And so they decided, hey, I'm going to take this on myself. And they started a campaign, went and talked to the CEO and said, look, we need to go green. I've already researched. We're getting these. I had never heard of these. This was years ago until this person introduced them. But these forks, plastic forks that are made out of potato.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen those?
Yes.
So she just comes up with this whole thing. Next thing you know, we have reusable coffee mugs,
Right.
where people are, having to
Washing their
wash
own.
them and so forth.
They better be
And we
washing
have
their own.
plastic
They better not
cups.
leave them in the sink for somebody
Better
else to
not.
watch.
We have plastic cups, which now, of course, is sort of out of vogue, but with the company's logo on it, and everything was repeatable, reusable. And, did it make an impact on the environment? I mean, the overall, yeah, absolutely. But did it make an impact also just on the company environment, just in terms of thinking about the way we take care of things? It actually fit with one of the company's core values. So that's a really big shift for somebody that doesn't have any authority, doesn't have any power, right, to make. And I've seen this at a lot of companies where people go on a crusade, decide they want to see something change, and they actually bring it to fruition.
Yes.
You had a similar...
Oh, yes, very similar. I mean, that's what I was telling this lady yesterday. I was telling her, hey, you can say at the bottom of the chain you don't have any authority, but I was at the bottom of the chain. I worked at a company where I was the basic, had a different title, but I was basically a receptionist. I'm nobody, right? I'm not important. And I went to I asked for a meeting with the CEO and it was the owner and the president. And I went in and I said, hey, I feel like, because I was a receptionist, I was in touch with a lot of the staff. And
Sure,
I said,
you're hearing from people.
I said, I feel like, especially since a lot of our staff have children and it's the summer, people would enjoy having like Fridays off in the summer, or, alternate Fridays off in the summer, something like that. And this is the response. No.
Not doing it.
No, just no. Just no.
Yeah,
and
flat out.
And stare. Long.
Yeah.
We had that uncomfortable stare, like, are you done? Get out. That that's what it looked like. So I was like, I went back to my desk and I thought, this is a good idea. What the heck? So then I went upstairs to the CFO and I said, hey, because he's the most difficult one. And I was like, hey, we had this great idea, blah, 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 And there were other people in the group. We had about 3 of us. We went around and we rallied the people. Then we came with a plan. And then we said, hey, so this is what we think. See the difference. You see, the first time we went.
It was an idea.
An idea.
Okay.
That sounded like money loss, right?
Right. Oh, yeah, because they're
shutting
in a
down the
panic
office
about,
an extra day a
no,
week.
what?
Are you talking about?
Nobody's
and then there's
work.
people who can't take days off because they're in like certain jobs, like payroll or whatever, and
they're afraid they're going to get
and
stuck.
those people are stuck on those Fridays, and everybody else gets off. You're already having a hard time with them on normal holidays, so it made sense. I found out their reasons for saying no, right?
Right.
And then I came up with a plan.
Which is, so we talked about this last week. I mentioned it. I talk about it in a company of owners. That the reason most ideas get rejected at companies is not because they're not great ideas, but because they're just they're vapor, right? It's like this, hey, I have an idea. What if we, hey, we should go green. Okay, well, that's different from like this person who presented them with all of the facts. Here's what the cost structure is going to look like. I've already researched. Here's where we're going to get. She made it really easy for them to pull the trigger.
Right.
And that's what you did. You went and said, look, I'm going to meet all of your
managers.
I'm
Senior
going to meet
managers.
all of your complaints and concerns and address those, which we talked about yesterday in the keynote. A big part of being successful is knowing the other person's story as well as your own.
Exactly.
You've got your point of view. You've got your perspective. I don't know. We should do a whole show on that, actually. But you've got your perspective about where things are coming from. But do you really know the other person's? Why would someone in a position of authority say no to that idea that just seems so brilliant, to you at the time? So until you understand that and really know what those are, you're not in a position to make a very strong case or argument.
I didn't finish my story.
Okay, I'm sorry. Well, I thought it was going to be a short story and it's turned into a novel or maybe a 3-part series. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought your story was over.
It was a negative. It was negatively impacting my emotions. That's how I felt.
That's a Harville Hendricks technique there.
I'm sorry. I have to ping you.
Okay, you ping me. All right, so finish the story.
So we go into the office with the. And this is a great. I'm
going to run to the store for a little bit while you're doing
ahead.
it. No, I'm just
I'm
kidding.
pinging you again.
So you go to the office.
No, we go into the office. I want to finish the story because Flex Fridays is a real thing, and it's a real thing that could really work for anybody's company. And it's something that we implemented. So instead of the full-on every Friday off in the summer, we did Flex Fridays, where that means that if I finish everything I had to do this week, and I can take tomorrow off, I decide I'm an adult and I don't have to come in. If I had a meeting with a very important client that Friday, maybe I'll come in for the meeting and leave after. Or maybe I won't come in at all, right? So it's flexible.
Right.
So people were empowered to come in and do their job like adults.
Yes.
And it was great because on any given Friday, we'd have half the staff or none of the staff. It didn't matter. But it was such a great thing because it boosted morale. I mean, think of such a tiny thing as making Fridays flexible.
Yes.
In the beginning, everybody might run out. But if they love their work, they'll be there if they need to be there.
So I'm just a massive fan of the 4-day work week, or
Colorado
anyway.
did that with the schools.
You saw that, right?
Right?
So
schools became 4-day school days.
well, and I know. I may have mentioned him on the show, but actually, my dentist has a structure. Even he is on this system where they work 3 12-hour days a week. So you've got 3 days where you're putting in, significant amount of hours, the same amount of hours, except you're only working 3 days out of 7. So
Right.
it's kind of a cool setup. But we just need to think in terms of being more creative about the things we're doing at work. There are things that people can do no matter what level you are in the company. Immediately, you can start a book club. You can start a TED Tuesdays.
You can bring in a yoga instructor.
You can bring in a yoga instructor.
You
Actually,
can
at this
start-
company, we had somebody else that did that.
Yeah.
That said, hey, guess what? I'm going to set up a deal, and every day we're going to have yoga at the end of the workday for anybody who wants to join
We did that
us.
at D Magazine, yeah. We loved it. We loved it.
And you can also make bigger changes. Look, I work with a lot of owners, and I work with a lot of different companies, a lot of different company cultures. And what I will tell you is most leaders, great leaders, absolutely love when somebody steps up to the plate and tries to solve a problem for that company, when they take some initiative and they don't just sit back and throw darts at it or complain or gripe, right? So I think there's a real fallacy out there that, company culture just belongs to the people, quote, at the top. That's not true. Company culture belongs to everybody, just like everybody in the family contributes to the
Cleaning the
tone
house.
and the mode of the family. Yeah, right. Like, so what parent is going to complain if one of the kids takes initiative and says, so I went ahead and cleaned up and organized the kitchen.
Right.
They're not going to be like, well, who told you could do that, right? When they act on it. Now, if they're coming in saying, somebody needs to clean the kitchen, we need to get better organized.
Mom, why is this so sticky?
Yeah, then that's a whole-
The kitchen's dirty. Mom would be like, you're cleaning it now.
That's a whole different setup. So, by the way, man, I meant to show the video quick, but we're already way in. So let's watch this quick video about company culture.
Yeah.
Most companies and organizations I come across are struggling with incredibly low employee engagement, with the average being 29%. That means that only a third of our workforce is truly engaged. In fact, for many people, what we call work is drudgery, unfulfilling, and an absolute soul suck. Low employee engagement, I believe, is a massive silent tax to your success and profitability, and is seeping millions and even billions of dollars a year out of our economy. CEOs and business leaders say their number one concern is attracting and retaining top talent. Companies that get the culture piece right do not have to worry about attracting and retaining top talent, because guess what? People are lined up around the block wanting to come work for that great company and that great company culture. One Harvard study showed that there's a net profitability increase of 765% over the course of 10 years for people who get the culture right. Now think about that. Think about that kind of an impact to your bottom line just by focusing on the thing you ought to be focusing on anyway, which is company culture. Culture is the number one success factor for any company, organization, or small business. My name is Daren Martin, and I'm an evolutionary. I'm out to do everything I can to educate, inspire, and empower companies, organizations, small business leaders, and everyone really who wants to change this thing we call work. I know we can do better. We can have better. We can be better. I'm the culture architect. I'm the author of multiple books, including the best-selling A Company of Owners, which has been called Best Book I Have Read Since Good to Great. I speak all over the world to companies in every industry, as well as associations, franchise groups, and basically anyone who will listen, inviting them to join the evolution and to make work more enjoyable, rewarding, fulfilling, and something we're all passionate about. I'm inviting you to join the evolution as well. Think about it. Why should there be only 100 best places to work? Let's make every company a best place to work for our sake, for the sake of our children, for the sake of the future. Join me and let's make the world a better place. Wow. Who did that video?
Who did it? I wonder.
So I get people contact me all the time. This is buddies, people in the industry, et cetera, and they go, "Who does your video? I want to connect with them." I'm like, "Well, no, you would have to marry her, okay? Because she's
already married.
She only works for one company, and that would be
me."
You.
Me.
I
made the video.
I didn't know you were a company.
My favorite video.
But,
if you want to watch it again, you can see it at the top of our Facebook page, Daren Martin, author speaker, and you can share it from there if you like.
Thank you for that little promo. So, but the stuff that we're talking about in the video is true. That why do we have 100 best places to work? Why is not every company a best place to work?
Because not everybody in the company is jumping in to make it a better place to work
and taking
people
responsibility.
Just complain and
right?
move on, and everybody wants to go work at Google. Why? I mean, why don't you make your company a Google?
I want to go work at Google.
Everybody wants to go work. I want to work at Pixar.
Actually, we had a guy say yesterday
I actually
that,
like working from home with my puppy. I don't want to work anywhere.
We had a guy that, we've got a good gig. But we
I
had a guy yesterday who said he looked around the room when I was doing the little workshop portion. He said, "Well, my boss is not in here." He said, "But the reality is..."
He actually said that? My boss is not in here? Oh,
I don't think you were in there for this.
Daren, let me check. I'm just going to look around. Wait, my boss is not in here. Go ahead.
You have no boss. You're the boss of you. So at any rate, he looks around and goes, the reality is if Amazon ends up coming to Dallas, Amazon, yes, I know it's very controversial. Please come to Dallas. We will treat you well. We love it. Bring it.
Actually, we have nothing to do with treating you well. We probably won't ever see you.
That's not true. So at any rate, he said, if Amazon comes to town, I'm quitting my job and I want to go to work there. And what was attractive to him was his perception of what the culture is there.
Right.
So that's a whole other story.
But that's the point. He's willing to quit his job and go there. Wasn't that the same guy that was talking about how people don't want to work?
Yeah. No, that was a
different
guy. That was a different guy. So, okay, Hugh, you ready, Hugh?
Yes.
We got you fired up.
Yes, I'm ready.
Are you on? Why are you not on camera? We got to get Hugh on camera on here.
Oh,
okay, whoa.
Hey.
The intern Hugh with your wave again. Let me see. What's that on your wrist there? That looks like an owner bracelet.
Oh, two of them.
Check it out.
He's got two of them.
Okay, so
He's
Hugh,
super fly.
Hugh is actually a perfect example of what we're talking about today on the show. Just because, Hugh, you go to school, right?
Yes.
Where are you in school?
I'm at Paul Quinn College.
And what are you studying?
Right now, mass communications.
Okay, so you're doing an internship here, but you just started a contest that cowboy tickets are on the line.
Yes,
Tell us about that real quick.
Well, after reading A Company of Owners, I wanted to get some of the business students involved in the book. So I basically proposed a challenge. Whoever reads the book, follows Dr. Martin on his Instagram account, and select one of his slogans and write a 250-word essay about it. And the best essay gets 2 cowboy tickets.
Okay, now, Hugh, let's talk about this a little bit because you've got schoolwork. You've got stuff going on. You're just doing this on your own initiative.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so that you are the epitome of what I talk about in A Company of Owners, of people who take responsibility and own it and just go with it, because you're not waiting to get your degree to get out there to start doing something. Obviously, I'm thrilled. I'm flattered that it's our stuff. It's that stuff that you're promoting. But it wouldn't matter. The initiative is the same. And so people sit back and say, I can't, I don't, I won't. And they're
I don't have time. I'm too busy.
Yeah.
I'm sleepy.
You gotta go to the ball.
Count the number of lazy moments you have in your day. Just sit for a second and count the number of lazy moments you have, and then realize that you could change the world.
Yes. Now, and a lazy moment, by the way, is different from a zen kind of quiet moment because those
I'm
are
not
good for you.
talking about like 20-minute power nap. I'm talking about the 6 hours you've finished watching that TV show after work because you're just too lazy.
Absolutely. How much time gets wasted of just killing it?
When you could
on-
spend 1 hour reading books right at night, how much would you change your? Anyways.
So I want everybody that's watching this, listening to this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you're the CEO. Hey, guess what? You got huge responsibility for setting the tone of your culture. And by the way,
You can decide what color shoes you're wearing in that culture.
Yes, I don't even know what that means.
Well, you can't say pants anymore.
That's true.
You get to decide what shoes your culture looks like.
That's
they're
true.
sparkly, they're red, they're orange, they're purple, they're red, they're with leather. They have like
I think
black
Elise is going to
sheen.
write a whole book on this. So the shoe culture. But so the point is, if you are a leader in your company, then absolutely yes, you have huge responsibility for making sure that the tone, the fabric of the company, what it feels like to come to work every day, is something that is attracting people to the company, bringing people in. By the way, don't be fooled by your own press and thinking it's great. When we go in and we hear from everybody else at the company, no, it sucks. It's horrible.
Talk
So
to
you've got
people.
it. You got to talk to people. You got to find out what's really going on. The bigger the gap, as I always say, between the stated culture and the hidden culture, the more dysfunctional the company. And I've seen some pretty big gaps.
Here's a good idea. If you are the owner and they know you and they're a little intimidated, obviously they're going to tell you everything's fine. If you really want to know what's going on with your culture, I would get a stranger.
Yeah, have somebody.
I would bring in someone nobody has met, right? Somebody you trust, and hire them as a contractor to do something.
So
Let them walk around the office, right? And talk to people.
I actually just did this with a fantastic little company I'm excited to be doing some work with. And I had interviews this week. I haven't done the debrief yet with the two principal owners, right?
Right.
But already, just by interviewing the people in the company, I know more about the company in some ways. Now, not the logistics and the specifics and product line and et
Budget,
cetera.
none of that, yeah.
But I know more about what's really going on,
Right.
Because people open up; they're willing to talk about it. So, okay,
Because
so
you're a neutral party.
yeah, absolutely, and they see that as, hey, you're here to help. So, of course, now if you're not in a leadership position, if you just started at a company and you see something, say something, do something, come with a plan, and start to look at ways that you can drive some progress forward. Hey, you want to do something? Here's another great one. You were talking about Fridays. What about a no meeting day at companies? I know some companies that have
we
done
did that.
this.
We did no meeting Wednesdays.
No
at
meeting
D Magazine.
Wednesdays. How much work do people get done? Most
The
meetings
problem
are
was
an absolute
meetings
waste of
started
time.
trickling into no meeting Wednesday. I tried to enforce it. I
You
was
need
like,
an enforcer. There needs
I
to
was
be a
like,
penalty.
they would come over and I would say, "Hey, could you put this meeting on the calendar? It needs to be in this room." I would be like, "It's no meeting Wednesday. I can't schedule that." They're like, "Schedule it." I'm like, "Fine."
Fine. See, you were the weakest link in that case.
Hey,
You just
I
gave
was the
them-
one that brought about many things, but sometimes you just have to let them have their stupid meeting. I mean, they just really want to get together and like stare at each other.
Okay, so by the way, this episode is brought to you by Wild Tonic Jun Kombucha.
Kombucha.
This is, what flavor is this?
Blueberry basil.
Okay, so they're actually starting
It's
to
actually quite
stock
tasty.
kombucha at the studio here. This is going to be a live shot of you taking a sip. So,
Oh, you want to do that?
no, yeah, that's fine. And by the way, this whole studio thing is really starting to come together. There's artwork everywhere, all sorts of things going on.
If you haven't taken the tour, come take the tour.
yeah, come take the tour, and it's
I
only going to
strongly
get better.
suggest it. It's great.
Okay, so you ready to Martinize something?
I am not, because you got to tell people homework. I want to give them homework.
Okay, give
too.
them some homework. Let's go.
Here's my homework. I want you to take a walk around your office. I don't want you to walk around your office like you did today, like you did yesterday, like you did this morning. I want you to walk around your office. I want you to look at stuff you never looked at. I want you to look at the color of the lights. I want you to look at that person who doesn't have good lighting on their desk and brought in a lamp of their own. And I want you to think about small changes that you can make today, tomorrow, next week, that would help make someone's life in your company better. Small. You don't have to be the biggest person in that office making the biggest change. Sometimes the change could be going to Home Depot, or easier than that, because I wouldn't go to Home Depot either. Go on Amazon, order a light bulb, right? Or two light bulbs.
Hashtag Home Depot in
Change.
this episode.
Yes. It's just I'm too lazy. If they,
We love you,
hey,
Home
if their
Depot.
online shopping was as fast as Amazon Prime, I would order from them all day.
We love you, Home Depot.
But you could get the light bulbs, change the light, show it to the person in charge of that budget, and then maybe they'll reimburse you. And if they don't, just return it. Right? Try changing something. Be like, hey, this light makes me work better. Could you just reimburse me for these light bulbs?
Do cool things. Why not? You know,
Make someone's life different. Do it. And you could just walk around. Just walk around. Just walk around. I swear you're going to see something.
Yeah.
We always see something.
and do something that makes a difference. And, you know, look, like bring flowers, put them in the conference room, put them in the center table, you know, just to brighten things up a little bit. So,
If
okay.
it's no meeting Wednesday, the flowers will be dead the next day with the light comes in.
You can't do it on Wednesday. Are you ready to Martinize something now?
Yes.
Okay, let's go. I don't think I've done this one, but if I have, I'm actually going to do this one every show moving forward
Is it
until
the
it
internet?
stops. No, it's not. Did we do the internet?
Did it twice.
Yeah, did.
I didn't want to stop you last week. I was like,
No, it's not the internet.
We already did that
It's
one.
worse. It is the random crazy sales calls that I get on a regular basis that
Just
are
the
getting
sales calls?
so clever and so, you know, fascinating in the system and the way around.
Scammers.
What happened? We had this like no call zone thing back before you could send in, you know, you had to like send a postcard or telegram.
Mm-hmm,
No, it was actually internet. I guess you send an email or something, said, I don't want to be, take me off. And then if they called you, they'd get fined like $7 million or something.
fine.
What happened?
ding, 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 ding.
What happened?
Yeah,
My
fine company.
phone
Don't
is
you want to make money?
ringing.
Start fining them again.
Yes, please.
Did you make too much money that you don't want to fine them
now
anymore?
this one
wrong
was
with you?
this one was not. This was actually a scam, but I
Oh,
got this
so
one and
good.
just as a public service announcement. So I get this phone call, I pick up, and here's the problem, because in our business and with
Mm-hmm.
what we do, we never know. It could be a meeting planner calling
Client.
saying, hey, I want you to come speak at this gig, or hey, we need you to come in and do a leadership training for our team
And
or a
sometimes
strategy session.
People don't want to leave a voicemail, so you have to answer the
Yeah,
phone,
yeah.
especially if it's a strange number. You
So,
know what I mean?
and I'm sure there's all sorts of apps and et cetera. But so this guy called, and I get this voice, not a voicemail. It sounds like a real person. To this day, I'm still not sure if it was a real person or if it was one of those bots, right?
Right.
But basically, he said this. He said, hey, yeah, this is Tom, and I got your information from the Department of Public Safety, and they have a picture from when you scratched my car in the parking lot the other day, and I'm just calling to get this taken care of. We need to get this addressed. It's your license plate. You're responsible for it. So what do we need to do to get this taken care of?
Right.
I fortunately was thinking on my feet, and I said, oh, well, that's interesting. So what was the license plate number? And the machine, I'm assuming, came back on and said, hey, look, I don't know why you're being difficult about this, but, you know, you should take care of your responsibilities, and this is something that you just need to take care of. We need to get this figured out.
This is scary AI. This is scammers using AI.
oh,
Because that's a
my goodness.
computer that's, if you had said something like, sure, okay, yes, right?
Right. It would have
With a
answered.
different
It would have
response.
answered different.
Yeah, yeah.
So he says, you know, I don't know why this has to be so difficult, and you know, what kind of person are you? You know, I figured you would be willing to take care of, you know, your own mistake. And I said, oh, okay, so yeah, I'm more than willing to talk to you about this. What was the license plate number? And then he goes, or the machine goes, okay, look, that's I'm done with this. I'm just going to take it up with the authorities, and you know, see ya, whatever. And he calls like Tom or something, like he's calling somebody, and then click, hangs up. Now,
Wait, did he
That's-
say your name when you picked up the phone?
no, of course not. Now it's but he could, right? This is really easy to program in. So
If he
that's
contacted
fine.
the authorities already, he would have the license
it's-
plate number. It would be the
if you
first
just-
thing. This is your license plate number, isn't it? Right?
You can punch holes in it, but the problem is when my 80-year-old mom gets that call, she freaks out and she's concerned about it legitimately, because it's like, hey, what's this deal and who's this person? And now I knew something because we hardly ever drive.
We hardly drive our cars, so
In fact, we're
it's
talking
very
about-
suspicious. Because if we hit someone, we would know.
We're already trying to sell. We already sold mine. We're trying to sell yours, but
If
that's a
anybody's
whole other
looking for
topic.
a
So anyway,
very beautiful blue Camry,
stop.
2013.
You did have to buy light
Bluetooth.
blue, which
It's a beautiful color. I got a
nobody
compliment on it just
wants.
yesterday.
I'm sure. Did you try
Just
to sell it to
yesterday.
them? Did you try to sell it to them? Okay, so another little shout out to City. City does a lot of pings in one show. Another shout out to Citibank for so graciously
Yay, Citi.
endorsing the book. We're talking about maybe doing some other things with them. Hey, if you haven't read this book, if you haven't written a review on Amazon, go get it. Find out why a company as large as Citi would be saying, yes, we want to attach our name to this and be a part of this. There's some great stuff going on with this book.
If you've
but all
ordered the
books.
book on Amazon, please write us a review. It's so helpful.
Absolutely. We're at 64. I want to be at 100. So we need like 36.
Just a small number. 1,000. You get what you ask for
Okay,
in
I
life.
want to be at 1,000.
I'm going to tell a Tony Robbins story. Tony Robbins is walking down the street and a homeless man says, "Guy, can you spare a quarter? I just need a quarter so I can get coffee or something." And yeah, I did his face like that. He did his lips really close together. Anyways, and then Tony Robbins says, "Are you sure?"
Wait, hold on. So Tony Robbins reaches.
Hey, I'm working on my speaking.
Okay, that's
I
great.
need to practice
That's right.
myself. You
All right,
can't
go.
interrupt me in
Go.
the middle
But remember,
of a
he
punchline.
pulls out a big watch. He
Hold
reaches.
on. Okay. All right. So Tony Robbins looks at the homeless guy who asked for the quarter and he says, "Are you sure you only need a quarter?"
Tony Robbins'
And like flips through the wad.
money clip was a lot thicker than mine.
This,
but anyway,
this
it's
money
this
smells
big,
like, I don't know.
Okay. So,
Anyways, so then the homeless guy says, "Yeah, dude, I just need a quarter, just a quarter." And he said, "Okay," puts the wad back in his pocket, pulls out a quarter, and then he says, "You know, life will give you whatever you ask for."
First of all, I'm just thrilled that I've finally gotten through to you and you're quoting the great Tony Robbins. And that was a pretty well done story. So nicely done. You're just this far, this close to the big stage. Keynote by Elise.
I'm not going to
Elise
keynote.
Martin. So we're actually going to do.
I'm gonna cut off your mic one day, and when you start talking, because I know the stories, right? So you'll be like, move your mouth. Well, my name is Daren, and I'm really cute.
That's so funny. Okay, so we're gonna do a special package deal. By the way, I would love to come do a keynote at your company anytime, anywhere. Just name it. We've got some great things that have come in just recently, but we're gonna throw in an extra bonus. So if you hire me to come do a keynote, you get a workshop, a little carve-out workshop by the great Elise Martin that she can teach on whatever topic. Okay, so that's it.
What?
That's a wrap. We're done. Company culture. We'll be back next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Workshop. What? Bye.